Ball Tournament Finals, live from the Friends University Gym. And now, here are your play-by-play announcers, Webb Smith and Ron Heller.
It's the International Biddy Championship from the International Tournament at the Garvey Physical Education Center between Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana, and the Wichita Americans. Right now, we're just in time for the announcements for the teams in the starting lineups.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the championship game of the 1977 International Biddy Basketball Tournament. Wichita, Kansas against Lakeshore of New Orleans, Louisiana. On the scoreboard, Wichita will be the home team, the visitors of Lakeshore. Now for the players of Wichita, number 32, Mary Field.
All right, there you have the lineups of the basketball teams for this championship game. The officials, Ron Spittler of the Big 8 Conference, J.C. Lauterbach, who does a lot of refereeing in the Missouri Valley Conference. Coaches for those two teams for Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana, Furman Sims and Bill McNamara. And for the Wichita Americans, Bill Roman and his assistant, Jim Troll. Lakeshore, incidentally, won this tournament in 1975. They were third last year, while Wichita All-Star teams have won it in the 62, 67, and 76. So they've all been here before. They're experienced, as far as the coaching staffs are concerned. So it's an exciting thing we have here today. A big crowd in behind us, Ron, isn't there?
It's a good crowd. The crowd, I think, has been very receptive all year long, well, of course, Biddy basketball throughout the city. We have so many youngsters throughout the city of Wichita playing Biddy basketball, and they've been very receptive here this week during the tournament. It's a good basketball town, as we discussed with Duncan. They get a lot of support. The people come out. They've done a tremendous job, not just the directors, but also the volunteers throughout the entire city. These officials, for example, have volunteered their time, and that's a real credit to them because they have a lot of other things to do. Tom Richards being from Newton, J.C. Lauterbach from Mark City, they've driven in, spent their own time and their own money in order to get this tournament underway. So it all speaks well for the Biddy basketball.
And here we go as we get set. Center jump, and ball is almost out of bounds, but Lakeshore has got it. It's Skippy Wendell who handles the ball a good deal of the time. Number 30 is Darrell Vincent. 32 is Byron Alexander. They move the ball around, try to work it in for the shot. And they've got to. Darrell Vincent to make it a 2-0 ball game.
You'll see a lot of zone defense in Biddy basketball. Wichita Americans were in the zone right here. Looks like the New Orleans team right now could be in a man-to-man defense. They're disguising well if they're not.
Ted Barney up the shot. He didn't get it. A nice save. No, they out of bounds. As J.C. Lauterbach, the official, was right on it, and it goes over to Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana. You know what Nord stands for?
I have no idea.
New Orleans Recreational Department.
If I just thought about it.
Out of bounds again. Well, not the Americans, and New Orleans has possession. Ball's deflected. Ted Barney comes up with it. Off to Mike Magnus, who brings the ball down for the Americans. Barney again. His shot off the iron and out of bounds once more, and this time to the Americans.
When you look, Webb, at the difference of the height, the basket here, 8.5 feet. The ball players can only be 5'7". It looks on a miniature level like a college professional basketball game.
There's the first 2 points for the Wichita Americans as Mike Magnus put it in. He got 16 points in the game this morning against Gary, Indiana. Vincent Parenti. 32 is Byron Alexander, and now the little guy, Skippy Wendell. He's back to Alexander, and Wendell working the ball around. Got a man free now, up it goes, and no good. Byron Alexander shot it. Mike Magnus. Shot by
Beautiful kick in there.
And the kick-in falls to tie it up. Make it 4-2, the home team in front. Steve Stokes made the tip in for Wichita. 4-2 ball game now. 4:15 left in this first quarter. 6-minute quarters. And the Americans have it again. John Jaro was the guy. Eddie Lyday. This is Ted Barney, and he works out in front of Mike Magnus. Magnus drives, and foul is on Magnus.
That's what they call the old dipsy doodle. As Magnus drove in there that time, he did charge into the defensive man prior to shooting the ball. But what a shot that was. An underhanded scoop with 2 hands that went off the glass and in.
They show a lot of moves. That's Byron Alexander. Wendell. Vincent Parenti. And Darrell Vincent. Shot is up and no good. This time by Darrell Vincent, and rebound for the Americans. Fast break to Magnus. Almost lost it, but he saves it. And the ball now stolen, this time by Skip Wendell of Lakeshore. The Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana. Drives the lane, and no room there. Magnus again. Eddie Lyday. Shot up by Steve Stokes. Short. And Darrell Vincent has the rebound as Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana, the only undefeated team left in the tournament, brings the ball down.
You know, Webb, it's hard to believe as you watch these youngsters out here, the maturity that they have, the way they can handle their body at 12 years old. Of course, the cutoff date is November 15th. They cannot be 13 prior to November 15th, but they look like basketball players on a miniature level, but they run, they jump, they handle the ball so well. It's just a real pleasure to watch it.
Excellent coaching, excellent play, and Wichita has a rebound, and Eddie Lyday had the ball and the rebound. Once again, it's Mike Magnus. Steve Stokes back in that corner. Gives a shot. Good.
That's 6-2 in favor of the Wichita Americans now.
So the Americans have a 6-2 margin so far in this first quarter of play here in the championship game of the International Biddy Tournament. Vincent Parenti. Darrell Vincent, and then back to Skippy Wendell. Under the basket alone now. Shot is up by Darrell Vincent. He missed it. Rebound for the Americans. Magnus's shot is up. Won't go down. Rebound under the basket by Steve Stokes. Blocked shot, and once again the ball goes over to Lakeshore. Up it goes, and almost in. No good. Rebound by John Jaro. Jaro to Magnus. Magnus all the way down. Ball's almost off, and then once again Ted Barney puts it up. All right, we're ready to move again. 1:24 left in this first quarter of play. Ball is taken away by, once again, the Americans. Give them a signal if you can. Americans moving down. John Jaro and Mike Magnus, who handles most of the ball handling chores in the point guard position.
Well, Magnus is big and strong for his age, husky lad, very muscular, and he penetrates the ball very well. And that's what you want out there at a point position. Somebody can handle the ball and penetrate.
Barry Fields. Anthony Fleury. The shot is up, and they're having a little problem finding the ball. Fast breakdown. They got a man loose, but they didn't see him, and the ball goes saved by Magnus. Barney's shot won't go down. And we got a jump ball. Jump ball, and then a timeout is called with 36 seconds left in this first quarter of play. And the score is the Wichita Americans 8 and Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana 2. All right, it's a jump ball with a 6-2 score, making it 8-2. The Americans in front. Tip controlled by Lakeshore. Nord moves down court. Vincent Parenti. Got a foul call. A charging foul on Vincent Parenti. So Vincent Parenti, who scored 15 in the last game between these two teams, is called for the violation.
Well, he took the ball right in the defensive man that time. You know, it takes a lot of courage to stand up in front of a lad that big and take the charging foul, which he did.
He's a husky kid.
Yes, he is.
Mike Magnus, now looking for room, sets up the play.
They'll probably look for one shot as there are 15 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Magnus may be the guy that takes it. And he got it. 10-2. Now the score in favor of the Wichita Americans as Skippy Wendell comes down court. 2 seconds, 1 in the first quarter. End of the first quarter, the shot is good. No basket. Anthony Fleury shot it, but it didn't count. The buzzer had gone off. So the score at the end of the first quarter of play, the Wichita Americans 10, Nord Lake 10-2 score. And Ron, what's happening?
Well, what's happening is that Wichita is shooting 4 for 11 for 36%, and Nord is 1 for 9 for 11%, and that does make a difference. Of course,
pretty well tells the story right there.
10-2. Here we go in the second quarter, and again, a 6-minute quarter.
Damian Rosemore jumping in there against Roderick Ree, jumping against David Walker. Walker and Rosemore. And once again, Nord Lakeshore controls the ball. New players in there, Keith Manigo. Every player on the team has to play at least 6 minutes. Isn't that right, Ron?
6 minutes per half.
Per half.
And that is a good rule. It provides a young man an opportunity to play. He's not just going to sit there and watch the game or take a trip and do nothing. He's going to have an opportunity to play, and that's what it's all about at this age level.
Shot is up twice by Vincent Parenti, and he gets it. Parenti had 15, as we told you, in the game against Wichita last night. Barry Fields now controls the ball as he brings it down, and Rusty Coleman puts it up and gets it. So Coleman scores to make it a 12-4 ball game with just about a minute gone out of the second quarter of play. Shot is up by Steve Stokes. It won't go. And the ball goes out of bounds. And New Orleans loses the ball out of bounds. And here come the Americans. Barry Fields is the point guard in there now. Dennis Shoemaker shoots, hits.
And Wichita's hot. They're shooting the basketball very well right now. And of course, Lakeshore has 4 points on the board, and that's been their difficulty is good consistent shooting from that 12, 15-foot area.
Okay, Lakeshore now has the ball, moving it just to the basket to our right, or the right of your screen. Attempted shot up by Roderick Lee, and he's fouled.
I believe it was Shoemaker that made the foul there. It was Walker on the foul. Good penetration there by number 50. You see him on the screen as he turned and tried to drive the ball to the basket. You know, a lot of youngsters fail to drive that ball to the basket the way you should. They don't read their defensive man properly, Webb, and they'll stand out there and they'll just try to shoot from 15, 17 feet and think that's the name of the game. And again, if you can learn to drive that ball to the basket when you're at this age, it'll certainly help your game as you get older.
Roderick Lee got that one. A lot of poise for 12-year-olds, I'll tell you. This is Lee again. Roderick Lee in the lane. So it's a hit on the basket, and Wichita scores again to make it 16-5. 4:21 left here in the second quarter of play. Steve Stokes under the basket. The big guy puts it up. Roderick Lee, and he's fouled again.
That's that power move to the basket, Webb. And of course, a good foul on the part of the American player because If he hadn't have fouled him, he had a cinched 2 points. Now he has to step up there to the free throw line and try to earn it by way of shooting 2 free throws. And by the way, this is a 12-foot distance they're shooting from rather than the 15 feet like they shoot out of college and high school and professional basketball. 12 feet from that foul line, that white piece of tape you see across the floor to the front of the rim.
So Roderick Lee gets him, boy, and makes it a 16-7 ball game as Lakeshore presses. All the way down the court, losing the ball with the Americans as Dennis Shoemaker lost the handle. Now Lakeshore moves again. Keith Manigo, long shot is up this time by Vincent Parenti, but it is no good. Scramble for the ball. Keith Manigo out of the basket, and we have a rebound for the Americans. Rusty Coleman. Fields puts one up, and it goes back over the backboard and out of bounds.
And through the net in the 10-foot basket, exactly where it went.
16-7. Wichita Americans are leading in this, the International Biddy Basketball Championship game. Ball being brought down court by Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana. Working the ball around the perimeter, trying to find a man loose underneath. Parenti working the ball to Keith Manigo. Then out in front again to Darrell Vinson. Lance Angola is in the ball game. Keith Manigo in the corner. Big guy underneath. Drives and gets it. Roderick Lee. Lee's cutting the gap a bit as Nord Lakeshore comes back. 16-9 now. A 7-point lead for the Americans. And a foul call. Foul called on the play. So with 3 minutes, 3 seconds left here in the second quarter of play, the score, the Wichita Americans 16 and Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana 4, or make it 9. Out of bound ball goes to Wichita.
You've got to give Lakeshore a lot of credit at this point in the ball game with 3 minutes and 2 seconds to go here in the second quarter. They've certainly worked a lot harder than their defense this quarter, Webb. They've really scrambled. They're playing a good aggressive man-to-man defense. Not that Wichita Americans are not playing well. They certainly are. There's a good move right there by Dean. But the Lakeshore Ball Club is behind. They're having to really scramble their defense. That's what you'd like to see young men do. Have to work to achieve something they really want, and they want to win this basketball game, get it over with right now, and they'd rather have to come back and play another one. So they're working very hard in their defense because their shooting is still not up to par.
16-9 is the score. The Wichita Americans are leading the basketball game. Ball being moved around again as Lance Angola had it for Lakeshore. Back out to Barry Dennis. Shot is up and misses. Rebound underneath. Rusty Coleman for the Americans. Rusty out to Kent Dean, who's in the ball game. He brings it all the way down. Bounce pass goes astray, and it's grabbed off by Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana. If Nord should lose this ball game, they'll wait an hour and play once more. That's Roderick Lee, the big guy. And Lance Angola bounces off, follow, and the big and good. Vincent Parenti scoring for Nord Lakeshore.
You know, he's just gotten 2 layups here in this quarter, Webb. Parenti has, number 42 on your screen. He's going to step the free throw line right now, trying to make a 3-point play. But in their offensive attack against the 2-3 zone that the Wichita Americans are playing, they have him playing on the perimeter, out there on the floor about 18, 20 feet. But he's gotten 2 layups in there because he is a very big young man. He's every bit of 5'7", a very muscular lad. And there's the free throw. He misses it, and the Americans take the rebound.
Americans coming down court now, leading 16-11, and we have a traveling violation there. J.C. Lauterbach right on top of it. The officials from the Missouri Valley Conference, Ron Spittler here handing the ball, is from the Big 8 Conference.
First-class officials.
It's great that they, wanted to work this game. It's a lot of work, and just because they wanted to help the kids. That's
You bet it is. A lot of other fellows around the area, around the city, have done the same thing. Dick Sanders, I understand, who officiates in the Big 8 and anywhere else that'll have him. He's worked 8 or 9 games in this tournament, so a credit to all these fellas.
Keith Manigo hit that basket for Lakeshore to make it 16-13. They've narrowed the gap to 3 points. Fields with the ball. Barry Fields. He's off to Dennis Shoemaker. Fields shoots one, and there's a beauty. Make it 18-13. A minute and 7 seconds left in the first half of play. Wichita Americans are leading in this championship game. Vincent Parenti, long shot is up, but Keith Manigault can't get that one down as the Americans come up with the basketball. Dennis Shoemaker, it's number 14. 32 is Barry Fields. Barry goes for the shot of the good move, and that was all right. 18-13, no basket. No basket.
What happened was one of the Americans went up there and touched the ball while it was on the rim, so very definitely offensive goaltending on the part of the Wichita Americans. A tough break for them because they could use that 20 points since Lakeshore has been closing the gap here in the second quarter. Still 18-13.
36 seconds left in the first half of play. Vincent Parenti, that's Keith Manigault, and Barry Dennis. Parenti, Manigault, Dennis working the ball around. Looking, nice block.
That's John J-Rowe.
J-Rowe got the ball after knocking it out of the air. Now he's got it. Passes down court, stolen. Grabbed off by Keith Manigault, but there was a foul. Offensive player control foul, and the ball goes over once again to Nord, Lakeshore, Louisiana.
You know, that's a hard thing to teach college and professional players, to take that charging foul, and these coaches have done a great job. The young men that are playing this basketball game here today and throughout this tournament seem to take that charge very well, Webb, and that's a hard thing to teach because it's not nice to stand up there and remain motionless while somebody runs into you.
And Barry Dennis got that one. Interesting the way the free throw lanes are here, too. They taper off, don't they, Ron?
They do taper off. Of course, you're allowed to have just 5 men on the rebounding lanes, and one man shooting that accounts for 6. The other 4 must be somewhere above the free throw line. They cannot be in the lane or below the free throw line. A few different rules, a few different wrinkles, but they're all good and all made to help the players out.
Press gave Lakeshore the ball, and under the basket, Steve Stokes puts it in to score right at the end of the second quarter of play. So with that 2 points, Lakeshore tightened it up even more. And at the end of the first half of play in our Biddy International Championship game, the score is the Wichita Americans 18, Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana 16. 18-16 the score. What's the scoring there for Wichita?
Well, John J-Rowe has 2 points, Shoemaker 2, Barney 2, Coleman 2, Stokes 2, Fields 2, Magnus 4, Walker did not score, and Dean scored 1. So the Wichita Ball Club has 18 points. Nobody in any serious foul trouble. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players with 1 each. We don't really need to worry about anybody in any foul trouble, Webb. It's been a relatively low-scoring ball game, of course. As the scores have gone throughout this tournament, there have been some of the ball clubs score as many as 90-some points. 70s, 60s is not too uncommon. This is 2 good ball clubs that play at both ends of the floor. They're not just here to score, they're here to play defense as well, and that's very important, and I think that is a result of the score here at halftime, 18-16, with the Wichita Americans leading. We'll give the Lakeshore Ball Club a lot of credit to this point. They had cold shooting, but they managed to stay in the ball game by way of their fine defense. They're playing aggressive man-to-man defense. Again, I know I keep bringing up the same thing, Webb, about the age, but throughout my experience in Biddy basketball, most ball clubs will play a zone defense, some form of zone defense, a 1-2-2, a 1-3-1, a 2-3, however you want to term it. They'll play a zone. Lakeshore looks like they've made a commitment to play a man-to-man defense, and that's what they're doing, and it's brought them back in the ball game. They've been able to force Wichita into a few more difficult shots, made them play a little bit differently, and they've gradually crept back in a game after shooting 11% the first quarter to come back and shoot 29% for the first half. It's a good ball game, 2 very evenly matched ball clubs. The second 12 minutes should be just as much fun to watch.
I'm sure it will be. Tom Holtzman is our statistician, and Tom, we appreciate all your good works there. We're ready for the jump at the center circle, and Lakeshore controls again. Damian Rosemore is in there. Also Keith Manigault, who's working the ball on the outside. He and Byron Alexander. Vincent Parenti, Alexander, and Manigault. Lakeshore in the white uniforms with red and blue piping. And, of course, blue or the dark uniforms for the Americans.
For you fans at home watching the ball game, if you see a Lakeshore ball player or Wichita American ball player in that lane, that extended lane that they play in, for over the 3 seconds that you're normally used to watching. The rule in Biddy basketball says they can stay in there for 5 seconds, so that's a big change and something to watch if you're trying to count the time that some of these young men are staying in that lane area.
Byron Alexander sinks both ends. As a matter of fact, he had 2 free throws to tie the ball game at 18-18 with 5:37 left.
To the scorer's table, please.
Barry Fields under the baskets. Parenti is rebounding. Bring the ball down quickly. Keith Manigo, it's up. Rebound for the Americans, but the ball is lost out of bounds.
Good effort on the part of J-Rose. He went high in the air, up there about 8.5 feet, about where that rim is. Just lost his balance, and the ball went out of bounds. So it'll be Lakeshore's ball on the baseline.
Anthony Fleury. And it's Byron Alexander. Shot won't go down. Long pass to Magnus, all alone. Up. Good. So Mike Magnus makes it a 2018 ball game as the Americans regain the lead with 5:05 left in the third quarter to play. It was 18-16 at halftime, the Americans leading. That's Parenti. Parenti again. He tries to drive the baseline, but he's called for traveling. Good defense.
Very good defense. Of course, Lakeshore is trying to overload that one side of the floor and then have somebody isolate on the other side of the floor to go one-on-one when they reverse the ball back around. But here it's the Americans. They need to score.
Baseline shot, and it's off the edge of the backboard. It was John Jaro who was driving, and a foul call on Lakeshore.
44, Anthony Fleury, his first.
Anthony Fleury gets his first personal foul, and that's right at the free throw line. John Jaro for the first time. John had 10 points in this morning's victory when the Wichita Americans beat Gary, Indiana, 68-52 to get into this championship game.
I've had the opportunity to watch John Jaro play many times because my son's played against him and played with him in various things. And he's a fine player, works very hard at the game with a lot of great talent. And I think it's going to be a real fine one as he develops through the years. He gets up there in the high school age.
His point makes it 21-18, the Americans leading. Anthony Fleury loses the ball out of bounds, but it is off the Americans and back over to Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana. Anthony Fleury will trigger it. Damian Rosemore. Byron Alexander and the long shot by Keith Manigo, but the follow is good by Damian Rosemore. It makes it 21-20, one-point game, 4 minutes and 18 seconds left in the third quarter. Barry Fields. Eddie Lyday. Magnus with the ball, and they'll make it Rusty Coleman. Coleman again. Shot misses the rim, but it's rebounded underneath by the Americans and lost by Eddie Lyday. And Lakeshore has it. Keith Manigo with a 21-20 Americans lead. Lakeshore with the basketball, a chance to go ahead. Byron Alexander off the Fleury and out of bounds.
Well, that was one time where penetration hurt the Lakeshore Ball Club. And they will penetrate the ball very well and get through the American defense. That time they got hurt with it.
Barry Fields, who's working at the point guard position, off to Mike Magnus. Mike's shot is up, but come a little short off the iron. Under the baskets, rebounded by Lakeshore again. Keith Manigo. Byron Alexander. The big guy, Vincent Parenti, misses. Magnus. Rebound underneath by Wichita, but finally it's Magnus who comes up with the ball. Mike holds it up now as his teammates come down court. Barry Fields. Rusty Coleman. And then Barry Fields again. His shot is too hard. And rebound by Anthony Fleury. Keith Manigo. Parenti. Vincent Parenti. And then ball is up. Keith Manigo's shot didn't go. Barry Fields brings the ball down then it's stolen away by Nord Lakeshore. Parenti. They're hurrying their shots a bit, not looking for the good shot. Mike Magnus takes the pass across the timeline and out of bounds, and it'll be, let's see, officials wait, and I believe it'll go over.
It's going to be the Americans' ball, and Magnus will play it out of bounds on the sideline.
So with 2 minutes, 33 seconds left in the third quarter of play, the score is the Wichita Americans 21, Lakeshore, Louisiana coaches Bill McNamara, Furman Sims, and the Wichita American coaches Bill Roman and Jim Troll should be congratulated on good coaching jobs.
Excellent coaching jobs. Both ball clubs are very well prepared for the ball game. They don't look a bit tired after playing as many basketball games they have throughout this week. I think, again, we might mention here, Webb, for maybe the people who just tuned in at home, that we're playing on 8.5-foot baskets, this Biddy basketball tournament. They play a little smaller basketball. A regular ball is 30 inches in diameter. The particular ball they play with now is 28 inches. The lane is a little bit different because of the shape of it, as they call the key lock in that area. International rules and that part of it. So overall, some of the rules are different. The maximum height that any player can be is 5'7". Of course, they cannot be 13 years old prior to November 15th.
John Jaro made that basket for the Americans to make it 23-20. Americans in a zone now. Attempt to drive the lane by Byron Alexander didn't work, as turnover is forced, and another force. This time, ball goes over to Louisiana. Fields very alertly grabs the basketball. Off to Rusty Coleman. The shot is good. Under the basket again. Another shot up by Dennis Shoemaker. It won't go. And Lakeshore has the ball. Byron Alexander. Keith Manigault into the corner. They can't get around there in that corner. Manigault out again, as the defense put on by the Americans in their zone is giving them a little trouble.
And they've played the same defense throughout the almost first 3 quarters of the ball game here. A 2-3 zone defense. It's been good for them. They've held the Lakeshore Ball Club to 20 points.
This time Anthony Fleury gets free for a shot, but it won't go down. Dennis Shoemaker attempts to pass down to Magnus. Ball went astray. Fields got it back, but once again Lakeshore's got it.
These kids come to play, don't they?
Ball is up by Keith Manigault. Manigault gets his own rebound. Big guy, Damon Rosemore. He can't get it down. There, backhand underneath the basket by Keith Manigault makes it a 23-22 game.
Manigault scores.
Manigault made a nice shot on that one.
Beautiful reverse layup. That's hard to do, to shoot that ball on that side of the basket with the right hand. You've got to get just the right amount of English on it.
Dennis Shoemaker. Barry Fields, 2-time, grabs a ball. We're going to have a jump.
Jump ball is called.
That takes a lot of courage to dive down there without any padding on your knees or any type of padding on your shoulders or upper body, just to dive there on the floor like he did. There are 39 seconds to go here in the first half. The Americans still lead Lakeshore 23-22.
Eddie Lyday was the man who was tied up with the ball, and it's down court, but a nice alert play by Rusty Coleman gets the ball back for the Americans with 31 seconds left here in the third quarter of play, and the ball goes out of bounds to Wichita.
The Americans, the Wichita Americans, that is, seem to be a little anxious to run and get that ball down the floor and try to score the easy 2 points. They've committed a lot of turnovers, yet their defense has been good, which has really kept them in the ball game. That's why they're leading.
Shoemaker's shot. John Jaro up with it. That time Rusty Coleman tried to put it in, but he was fouled.
Foul charge number 44, Anthony Fleury. His second personal foul. Second team foul on the half on Lakeshore.
Anthony Fleury was charged with the foul. It's 4 fouls before you go into the one-on-one. On the 5th foul, is that right?
That's correct. And again, to remind the people watching the ball game, they can shoot from that white stripe if they care to, which is 12 feet and 10 inches, versus the 15-foot normal stripe that your college, high school, and professional players will shoot from.
Rusty Coleman got 2 free throws for the Americans, who lead now 25-22 with 10 seconds left in this third quarter of play. Fight for the ball, and who has it? Americans have it with 1 second left. Long shot in. Mike Magnus hit one from the center court at the buzzer.
That's worth watching in itself, isn't it, Webb? He shot that ball 2 hands from center court. Granted, the ball's a little bit smaller, but he hit that backboard. It went through the net like he planned it all the way. A beautiful shot, and certainly should give the Americans a lot of momentum going into the final 6-minute quarter. It gives them a 27-22 lead right now.
So third into the third quarter, the score, the Americans 27, North Lakeshore 22. That was a spectacular way to end the third quarter of play. How far you suppose that shot went that Magnus put up there?
I would guess, Webb, somewhere between 40 and 45 feet, but the idea of a young man that age being able to put the ball that far to the basket, you know, a lot of these colleges and universities around the country, as part of their halftime show, is to have somebody come out of the stands and shoot a half-court shot where they might win a free transistor radio or something like that. Magnus ought to get in on that act and go around the country and try to win as many prizes as he can.
I believe he could do it. Fourth and final quarter. Americans have the ball. Dennis Shoemaker 29-22. Maybe that shot is what's going to ignite it. It certainly ignited the crowd.
Let's just watch how hard they play right now on defense. They have a 7-point lead. They're really scrambling hard in their defense. As long as they don't commit any silly fouls here and take care of the basketball when they get it, they'll continue to get good shots. And Lakeshore, which should be forced to take shots like that, when of course they hit it. They hit it about a 17-footer. But you'll force your opponent to take longer shots and make more foolish mistakes when you're ahead. Let's see how they play it.
Keith Monego hit that two-pointer for Lakeshore to make it 29-24, a 5-point lead for the Americans with 5:19 left in the game, and the ball is lost on the turnover by the Wichita Americans. Monego up. He's hot.
Well, just like I done saying, Webb is going to force the opponents to shoot further out, take lesser percentage shots. They hit 2 shots out there, one from 17, the other from about 20 feet.
Monego's got the eye. Magnus to Taylor to make it Coleman, Rusty Coleman, and Lakeshore has the rebound. Byron Alexander. Keith Monego, he's the guy with the dead eye right now. Byron Alexander, he doesn't get it. And alertly, John Jaro comes down to the basketball. Dennis Shoemaker holds things up now. And Jaro now. Eddie Lyday, baseline drive underneath, and Magnus gets it.
He penetrates the ball very well. He's always trying to drive the ball down the middle or down the baseline, trying to make things happen. He does. He drove the ball in that time, a nice reverse layup with the right hand. A very important basket.
31-26, 5-point lead for the Americans. And this, the International Biddy Basketball Tournament Championship game. Ball is stuck by Roderick Lee up under the basket, and it's going to be a jump ball.
I was wondering what that call might be. I thought that might be a change again in international rules. I couldn't wait for the official Ron Spittler to make that call, but it will be a jump ball between both ball clubs. The centers actually will jump the basketball right here.
Roderick Lee be in there with John Jaro. Barry Fields is coming to the lineup for the Wichita Americans. Keith Monego has the Parenti shot is off the rim, and Dennis Shoemaker to Fields. Fields pulls it up underneath, almost gets it down. Byron Alexander for Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana. And Alexander picks up a pair to make it 31-28, and suddenly it's a 3-point ball game again.
And here comes the full court press by Lakeshore. They're known, I think, for their full court press. It's what's gotten them to the finals here so far.
Barry Fields. John Jaro. 2 for Jaro, and it's 33-28. The Americans by 5 with 3 minutes, 22 seconds left in this, the championship game. Roderick Lee, 2-time, out front to Monego. That's his spot.
And they keep hitting those pressure shots. Here's the full court press again by Lakeshore.
33-30, 3-point lead for the Wichita Americans. Barry Fields does a good job against pressure. Dennis Shoemaker. It's Byron Alexander. All the way.
Well, for a big guy, he can really handle that ball well. He's been playing in a post position in there close to the basket, and sometimes moving out there 15, 16 feet and driving the ball to the basket. But here, this time, he drove the ball in there all the way from the other end of the court. He can really handle the ball.
So with 2 minutes, 51 seconds left in the fourth and final quarter of play, the score is the Wichita Americans 33, Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana 30. This is a 33-30 game, and it's a tight one right now.
It's an exciting basketball game with only 2:51 to go. Alexander is going to be at the free throw line shooting 2 free throws, so he can pull the Lakeshore ball club back to within 1 if he can hit both of them. Let's watch and see.
Byron misses the first one. Byron Alexander, the New Orleans Recreational Department Lakeshore, Louisiana team. He makes it a 2-point game, 33-31, full court press on as they make it tough to get that ball down. Eddie Lyday to Fields, and Fields loses the ball, scramble, and a jump ball.
That's excellent pressure for, again, I keep harping on the same thing, Webb, but the age of these young men, 12 years old, a few of them probably 13 by this time of the season, but that's fine full court pressure to learn to move your feet that well and cause that much of a problem for the offensive man bringing the ball up the floor. It's a very difficult thing to teach. You've got to want to play full court pressure the way they play it.
Lakeshore gets the ball off the mismatch at the center jump between Vincent Parenti and Barry Fields, and now they're working it around. They could tie this game up if they get a basket. Monego does. Keith Monego knocks it up with 2:22 left, 33-33. Barry Fields. Ball is stolen on a very alert play by Monego. 2-on-1. Alexander's good. Byron Alexander. So it's a 35-33 Nord Lakeshore lead now as they go ahead in the ball game for that, I believe, the first time.
It is the first time in the ball game. The Americans just tie it up, 35 apiece with 1:53 to go.
Barry Fields got that two down. Monego. Damon Rosemore, he tries to drive the baseline, can't get away, does finally, and gets it.
Beautiful shot.
37-35, Damian Rosemore puts Lakeshore ahead again. Mike Magnus with the ball now. Ball is stolen. Nord Lakeshore has it.
Well, the press has certainly caused the Americans a lot of difficulty right now.
Alexander's shot is good. 4-point lead now for Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana. Now with 1:16 left in the ball game, timeout is called with a score, Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana 39, Wichita Americans 35. 39-35 the score. Nord Lakeshore's out in front, and the stats may explain why.
Exactly the reason. Lakeshore is 7 for 8 this quarter for 87.5%. Wichita Americans 3 for 5 for 60%. Both ball clubs shooting well. Difference is that Lakeshore's got more shots.
4-point lead for Lakeshore as the Americans see if they can get down court against that tough full court press. They do, and John Jaro in the corner won't fall. Rebound by the tall Vincent Parenti. Monego now, 57 seconds. Looks like they're going to slow it down a bit.
They'll slow it down. They'll slow it down, of course. Try to pull them out of the zone defense, get them into a matchup into a man-to-man situation.
Foul on Magnus is probably the smart thing to do with 47 seconds left. 39-35. It's Lakeshore out in front by that margin as they're grinding this ball game down. So once again, with 47 seconds left in the ball game, the score is Lakeshore 39, Wichita Americans 35. Lakeshore has the ball, 47 seconds. That's Vincent Parenti. Out to the four corners offense now as they slow it down, or a version of it. Roderick Lee, he is fouled. Refouled by Rusty Coleman.
That could be a two-shot foul as Coleman was forced, of course, to try to foul that man with the ball. There were just a few seconds left to go in the ball game, 37 to be exact. But he did reach out there with both hands and push the offensive man, so they could call a two-shot intentional foul there.
You want to take one? So the timeout now is on the floor again as these teams go over their strategy in the closing seconds. Sure. You know, so 39-35, and we're right down to the critical period. I'm sure that we'll just hold it here this time. The foul shots coming up, or is that just out of bounds?
It should be. Okay, Webb. I believe they're going to call an intentional foul on Rusty Coleman as he reached out there and pushed the Lakeshore player in order to stop the clock. And it should be a two-shot foul, I would assume, right now. We'll wait and see how it's played. It might, from where they have the ball, looks like it might be on the sideline. So evidently did not call an intentional foul. This be a regular common foul. They'll play it on the sideline. But the big thing is right now that the Americans are down 4 points with only 37 seconds to go, and Lakeshore has the basketball.
All right, Parenti to Monego. Monego to Alexander. Parenti to the basket. Roderick Lee
move that
way
ball.
outside.
That's a good job.
27 seconds. Monego, Alexander, Roderick Lee.
Wichita Americans are wanting to foul, but they can't even catch up with a man handling the basketball because Lakeshore is very, very quick on their feet. They handle the ball very well. And Wichita Americans were having a difficult time trying to foul one of the Lakeshore players. They actually took 21 seconds in order to get the clock stopped again. And this time it looks like a one-on-one situation. There is another timeout.
Actually, there's 16 seconds left in this ball game, and one thing that I'm amazed is the ball handling ability. I've seen high school teams that couldn't quite do this.
I hope there are no high school coaches watching.
Yeah.
No, Webb, they are fine young athletes. These are the pick of the crop in the city of Wichita, the pick of the crop in Lakeshore, in that general area of Louisiana. And the ball players throughout this whole week have been the pick of the crop, as they say, in their own region, in their own area. But to think that young men can control their bodies so well at this age is still amazing to me. And it's just a real pleasure to sit here and watch them. We commented the first part of the ball game how it looked on a smaller level, of course, like professional players. It really does, or college players, because in respect to their height, which again can only be 5'7", no more than 5 feet 7 inches, and that basket up there 8.5 feet. If you look at it in that perspective, they play a very exciting brand of basketball. They're well coached. They're fine young athletes. They're fine young men. They don't give the officials any trouble at all. It's just a pleasure to sit here and watch this type of a program develop. And again, a credit to the officials here at Wichita to do such a great job during this whole basketball tournament.
Byron Alexander's just made it a 40-35 ball game with 15 seconds left. Nard, Lakeshore, Louisiana now leads 46. Make it 41-35, 41-35. And it's going to be another strategy session right now as they get back to the bench again. Ron.
And Webb, it sort of reminds you of that final game between North Carolina and Marquette, where I believe they figured out it took 20 minutes to play the last, I believe, 50-some seconds of that game, because so many timeouts were called, so many fouls were made. And that's the thing you like to see, is that the ball club won't give up. It doesn't look very good to Wichita Americans right now. They're down 6 points, 41-35 with 15 seconds to go. But in the opinion of those young men and those coaches and everybody else that's worked so hard, that's time enough to win it. They're going to try to get down there and score quickly, and I would imagine the coaches probably told them to drive the ball to the basket, to drive the ball in there, to try to force Lakeshore to foul you and hopefully get a three-point play, or at least an opportunity where you can score. Don't go down there and shoot a 15-footer. Let's see what they do. It'll be interesting to watch and see if they drive the ball to the basket or they just try to get a 15 or 17-foot shot on the outside. But then they need to get in their full court press if they can score quickly.
Bill Roman and Jim Troll, the coaches of the Americans. McNamara, Bill McNamara, Furman Sims. 14 seconds. Fields to John J-Rowe. John drives and won't go down. Rebound. Dennis Shoemaker. And it ball's blocked down. Brought down by Parenti. 4 seconds left. 3. Long pass down court. 1. The ball's in the air. And that's the ball game. So that's all for the championship, and the Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana team is the champions here at the International Biddy Basketball Tournament. The final score, Nord Louisiana, Lakeshore, Louisiana 41, the Wichita Americans 35. Okay, as we look now, it's trophy presentation time, and I'll tell you that's one of the biggest trophies we've ever seen. We'll kind of walk over there and join the people and see what they're going to do. See what they're going to do as far as the presentation is concerned. Now, the teams, of course, ball game is all over. 41-35, the final score. Nord Lakeshore from Louisiana was the championship team. And everybody's all gathered out here to see the trophy presentation. We just well go over and join Paul Fleeman for an exciting, visit here as a post-game show and see what's going on. We'll be talking to the coach of the Lakeshore team in just a moment, and also perhaps talking with the losing coaches, the opposing team. And we're now waiting for the trophy presentation to take place here at center court as Paul Fleeman, the tournament director for the Biddy International Basketball Tournament, is all set. And we're going to see if the presentation will be made right now. So they're telling the folks to be quiet, and the announcement's going to be made. Paul is asking for everybody to be quiet, which is a good idea at this particular juncture. Turn it around so you can see it. Mm-hmm.
Symbol of what's gone on this week. To a great team, Lakeshore, New Orleans, goes the trophy for the 1977 International Championships. It was a great game, a great ball game. I think all the boys showed what Biddy basketball is all about here this afternoon. And we would like for Mike Magnus and John J. Rowe and the Wichita team to present this trophy to the Lakeshore, New Orleans 1977 International Champions. It's really tremendous this afternoon to be able to see these kids and all of the work they've done over the past season to come to this final point of the 77 season, and the sportsmanship and the ability of them, I'll tell you, it's tremendous. And when Mike put that swisher in there at that bell over half court, really outstanding. We just say congratulations to everybody.
Paul, congratulations on the great tournament. You know what really excites you is to see these kids, even the losing team, they look just about as excited as they could be about, not having won. They were still such good sports, and they played it hard.
Well, it's a tough game to lead all the way and then lose it in the last few minutes, but that's basketball. One team can win, one team's going to lose, and so we're looking forward to next year already, and the tournament is going to be down in Louisiana next year.
Well, fine, Paul. If you can get us the Louisiana coaches in a minute, we'd sure appreciate that as soon as they break up there, Paul.
Just a second.
Okay. So we had the presentation of the big trophy, as you well saw there, and a 41-35 victory for Nord Lakeshore, Louisiana. We're going to try to talk to the coach from Nord Lakeshore. As a matter of fact, here's one of the coaches who's come right in here right now. And Furman Sims.
This is Billy McNamara.
Billy McNamara.
How you doing,
Hi,
sir?
Billy. Hey, Billy, it was a great win. It looked for a while like they might have had you guys pretty well figured out, at least the first quarter and the first half.
Well, we didn't take our good shots the first couple of three quarters, and we played good defense against them, but we didn't take our good balanced shots, and that's what caused us to go.
We wondered, you didn't go to your press completely through the ball game. What'd you figure the guys might be a little tired? You're going to save it till you needed it?
Well, we saved it to the fourth quarter, and we figured that's the quarter. If you don't have it by the fourth quarter, that's it. And we saved it for the fourth quarter and put a little bit more pressure on them, and it paid off for us.
Furman, your ball club shows a lot of poise, and I know you and Coach McNamara must be very proud.
We're very proud of them. Very proud. They worked hard. We went through the season undefeated, and it's a credit to them. It's a real dedication on their part. We felt like that we had the material, and of course, it's a pleasure to see them develop.
How hard do you work these boys? I was just curious about how often do you practice, or just when you get into the season, you don't practice as much, I'm sure.
Well, we go at it pretty good. We practice about 5 or 6 times a week, and we played in tournaments almost every weekend. So that tells you a little bit about how much competitive tournaments we've been in. And of course, this is one of the few teams that went undefeated for us.
Yes, it is. I tell you, it was a tremendous effort. Hey, Bill, now, this ball club, of course, they play so well together, and they're such good. How long is a practice session do you usually have? I say their poise is amazing.
We work from an hour and a half to 2 hours at the most. And half the time, it's mostly just fundamentals on 3-on-2 and shooting, and mostly just defense. But we work from an hour and a half to 2 hours every day, from 6 days out the week at the most. The rest is a game on a Sunday or a game doing a tournament on a Saturday or Sunday, either one.
You must have a community backing you people too down there. Is the enthusiasm high?
Oh yeah, we have a good group of parents. They love the game and they come and follow us. And we had people drive up, 3 or 4 cars drive up, and we had about a couple of people come in planes. About 18 to 20 people come up to watch us play.
Oh, great. Bill, congratulations again. Furman, congratulations. If you have a couple of players that you might shave over, we'd love to talk to them.
We sure would. We'd like to get the boys over here.
Get a couple of them, and we'll talk to them. Furman, I tell you, they've really played well. It was good. I have my color man here has been working with me, Ron Heller, coached in college, and he's just amazed that these kids look like they could play with just about any high school team.
We got a little special thing on our organization. We work real hard. We have a little motto: putting Christ first, our teammates second, and ourselves last. And it's a dedication. It's a philosophy that's mighty tough. It's tougher in life, but it's also tough in sports. And we feel like that if they can develop that attitude, they'll be all right, good young citizens and young men.
You have been watching the 1977 International Biddy Basketball Tournament.